Well, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're watching in this world and whenever you're watching this. My name is Brandon Vietas, the Occasion Hunter on an unnamed kayak. A lot's happened in the last 3 months, and it's been a while since I posted a video. So, I apologize for that. My little K-van, I sold that in preparation to receive a 2021 Toyota Hiace. It's a diesel 4-wheel drive. And so when I got that vehicle set up ready to go and kayak fish, I went out and Poseidon Skillet, the old red kayak, was taking on water. I got a really nice big GT and I continued taking on water. I had to bilge the kayak out several times and got it back to port, emptied out of water, and it was still taking on water, and it was definitely coming in much faster than it had been previously. So I took it home, and it turned out that I had a scupper plug crack. So part of that time that I was off of YouTube was getting the vehicle ready, and then the second part was just waiting for this kayak to come in. The story of it was actually really good. Poseidon Skillet actually came from Mariner Cells out of Texas. And so I initially contacted them, and they told me that they couldn't do anything. You know, I was in Japan, Okinawa, but they would forward my requests to whoever could help me. And so this was on a Friday morning, and so internationally speaking, they had contacted Hobie America, whatever that parent company is, who then forwarded the request to Hobie Cat in Australia, and they had contacted me literally within 24 hours and put me in contact with the dealer in mainland Japan on how to get this kayak here. And then from there, a few weeks went by, but I eventually received this kayak, and it was just an extremely simple process. When I very first, the first kayak that I had out here was a brand that I'm not going to mention, but I had a problem with it. I had a problem with the seat, and it needed to be replaced. And so I called the company back in the States, and they pretty much said, you're on your own. There's no warranty once the kayak leaves international, or it leaves the United States. And so before I decided to buy another kayak, I had emailed most of the major companies. And Hobie is the only company that came back and said, we have an international warranty. If you take your kayak out of the country, you will have to pay for shipping to get you the new kayak. And you know what? That is the only positive response that I received from any of the companies. And so when I got the crack on the Outback, I was obviously nervous because of my prior experience. But Hobie just made it simple. It was an email, it was a call. They were like, just send us pictures of the crack and we'll get you a new kayak. And it happened so quickly. So to Hobie, thank you. To anyone who travels internationally, the majority of those from the United States are going to be our active duty military. If you're gonna buy a kayak and head overseas, go with a Hobie, because the other companies, I promise you, it felt like they just stuck up a middle finger. And Hobie was the only one that didn't do it. So again, for them, thank you. Again, could not have made this process simpler. But now I am out here, extremely well rested, sleeping in that new high ace, on a new kayak. It's not completely rigged yet. I do not have the spanker cell on yet, and I do not have the Bixby motor on yet. I do have a deck mat coming in, and I'll be putting that on. But for the most part, this kayak is as it was. There are two things that I decided I am not going to do to this kayak that I had on the old kayak. There's a gentleman in Australia who suggested to not put the rear hatch on, and I completely agree, and I understand why. The geometry of the kayak, the water sits in the back, and so if the seal on the hatch is off just slightly, then water will go in through the back. The other thing that I did not put on was the Yak Power, and nothing against Yak Power, but the product is just not where it needs to be. The Bluetooth controller, fantastic. The button lights, I went through several pairs. They kept on leaking, they kept on stop working, and it's just not worth the holes in the kayak for something that does not work. And those things are not cheap. So I decided to not put the lights on, don't need them. That's what headlamps are for, and there are other lighting systems that I can use that are just so much more reliable. So today, I am at the Sesoko Seamount.
Yay! Barracuda. Oh man. Okay. one. Clean cut. Clean cut. Clean kill. There's something down below me too. Looks like a shark. Yep. No net. There was something big just right here. Oh my God. Don't lose him. Just don't lose him. on crunching? Really? My drive keeps on crunching. That's another reason I'm kind of getting worried.